Dr. Amanda Mitchell stared at the holographic display, her coffee growing cold beside the quantum processing unit. The anomalies had been subtle at first, barely noticeable fluctuations in the Kuiper belt's radiation patterns that her advanced detection system had picked up 3 weeks ago. Now, those same anomalies were screaming a warning that nobody else seemed to hear. "Run it again," she commanded, her voice steady despite the growing knot in her stomach. The AI assistant compiled the data for the 7th time that night, and the results remained unchanged. Somewhere out there, hidden behind sophisticated cloaking technology, a massive fleet was approaching Earth. The problem wasn't just convincing the Joint Chiefs of Staff that she was right. It was convincing them before it was too late. The hastily arranged meeting at the Pentagon was scheduled for 800, giving her less than 2 hours to prepare her case. Her laboratory at the Advanced Defense Research Facility looked like a war zone of its own. Holographic projections showed orbital patterns and gravitational distortions, while scattered tablets displayed everything from ancient asteroid impact data to the latest deep space scans. 20 years of research into xenobiology and theoretical alien contact protocols had led to this moment. The secure phone line chirped. "Dr. Mitchell, your transport is here," the security officer announced. Amanda grabbed her tablet and the quantum storage drive containing her evidence. The drive felt heavy in her lab coat pocket, heavier than its small size suggested. It carried the weight of humanity's future. The drive to the Pentagon was a blur of early morning traffic and security checkpoints. Her mind raced through the presentation she'd prepared. The data was solid, but would it be enough? The military brass hadn't taken her previous warnings about potential alien contact seriously. Why should today be any different? The Pentagon's conference room Alpha was already filled when she arrived. Joint Chiefs, intelligence directors, and a few faces she didn't recognize sat around the massive table. Admiral James Harrison, her longtime advocate within the military structure, gave her a subtle nod. "Dr. Mitchell," General Roberts began, his voice carrying the weight of someone who'd rather be anywhere else. "You have 10 minutes to explain why you've pulled us all from our regular duties." Amanda connected her drive to the room's secure system. The holographic display sprang to life, showing a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. 3 weeks ago, my team detected anomalous readings in the Kuiper belt. At first, we thought it was equipment malfunction. She was 4 minutes into her presentation when the first alert sounded. Red emergency lights began pulsing throughout the building. A junior officer burst through the door, face pale. "Sir, multiple unknown objects just appeared past lunar orbit. They're big, and they're moving fast." The room erupted into controlled chaos. Screens switched to live feeds from space-based defense platforms. Amanda's heart sank as she watched massive shapes emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. The ships were unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived. Organic curves blended with crystalline structures in ways that defied traditional physics. "How many?" General Roberts demanded. "Initial count shows 27 large vessels, sir. More appearing every minute." Amanda's voice cut through the tension. "Those are just the scouts." She manipulated her display, overlaying her detection data. "The main fleet is here." A massive cluster of gravitational distortions appeared just beyond Neptune's orbit. And based on the energy signatures, what we're seeing now is less than 10% of their total force. Admiral Harrison was the first to react. "How long have we got?" At their current velocity, Amanda checked her calculations one final time. "The scout force will reach Earth in 6 hours. The main fleet, 48 hours at most." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had prepared for this possibility for decades, but theory was about to become reality. General Roberts reached for the red phone that would alert every major military command on Earth. "Dr. Mitchell," he said, his earlier skepticism gone. I hope you have more in that drive of yours. Because right now, you're the only person in this room who seems to know what we're actually dealing with." Amanda looked at the alien ships through the display, their crystalline forms growing larger with each passing second. "Yes, sir. But you're not going to like it." The warning had been heard. But as Amanda watched the military machines spring into action, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too late. Humanity's greatest test was approaching at faster than light speed, and all she could do now was hope that Earth's warriors were ready for what was coming. Captain Jake Torres watched through his enhanced combat visor as the massive Zarkax dreadnought eclipsed the sun. Even at 5 kilometers out, the alien vessel dominated the sky above Pearl Harbor, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight like a murderous prism. 6 hours into the invasion, and already Earth's conventional forces had learned the hard way that traditional weapons were useless against the Empire's shielding technology. "Status check," he whispered into his quantum-encrypted comm. 5 acknowledgement lights winked green in his heads-up display. SEAL Team 6 had already lost too many good people today. He wouldn't lose any more. The team's experimental quantum destabilization weapons felt wrong in their hands. Too light, too delicate for the punishment they were about to deliver. Dr. Mitchell's last-minute briefing still rang in his ears. "Their shields operate on a quantum level. You'll only get one shot before they adapt." Mako 2, in position. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through clear despite the electromagnetic interference from the alien ship. "Mako 3, ready." Chief Peterson, their demo expert, sounded almost eager. The rest of the team confirmed their positions around the massive vessel. They were going to take this monster down, or die trying. There really wasn't much of a choice, not with half the Pacific Fleet already at the bottom of the ocean. "Remember," Torres said, "we hit the theoretical weak points simultaneously. Dr. Mitchell's models show a cascading failure if we time this right. Miss the window. And we're space dust." Rodriguez finished. "We got it, Cap." Torres checked his wrist display. The quantum synchronization was holding steady. A miracle of human engineering developed in secret for just such an occasion. The weapon hummed against his shoulder, its core pulsing with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around it. "Mark in 3, 2, 1. 6 quantum beams lanced out from different angles, each one finding its target along the dreadnought's hull. For a terrible second, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to hiccup. The ship's crystalline surface rippled like water, its perfect geometry distorting as the quantum fields collapsed. "Secondary targets, now," Torres barked. The team shifted their aim with practiced precision, hitting the now exposed power conduits. The ship's defense systems began to react, but they were milliseconds too late. Massive explosions chained along the vessel's length as its own energy networks turned against it. "Internal breach team, go." Torres and Rodriguez launched their grappling lines, the specially designed hooks finding purchase in the destabilized hull. As they ascended, the ship's automated defense systems came online, crystalline turrets emerging from the surface like growing ice. "Incoming." Chief Peterson's warning was followed by the sharp crack of his rail rifle. One of the turrets shattered, its fragments catching the sunlight like diamond rain. They found their entry point, a maintenance airlock exposed by the hull breach. The team's quantum hackers had studied the ship's theoretical access protocols for months. Now it was time to see if their preparations paid off. Torres placed the breach charge while Rodriguez covered their 6. The charge detonated silently in the vacuum, creating a perfect circle in the airlock's surface. Emergency force fields snapped into place, containing the ship's atmosphere. "We're in." "Mako team, form up." What they found inside changed everything they thought they knew about the invasion. The corridors weren't filled with warriors. They were filled with stasis pods, thousands of them, each containing what looked like modified combat forms. "They're not just here to conquer us," Rodriguez whispered, his scanner displaying the genetic analysis. "They're here to transform us." Torres accessed a nearby terminal, his neural interface translating the alien text. The blood drained from his face as he read the mission parameters. "Earth isn't their target," he transmitted back to command. "We're their recruiting ground. They don't want to destroy humanity. They want to forcibly evolve us into their frontline shock troops. They've been watching us fight wars for centuries, studying our combat capabilities." A massive door at the end of the chamber began to open. The heavy footsteps of the ship's security forces echoed through the metal deck. "Well," Chief Peterson said, charging his weapon, "looks like they're about to get a close-up demonstration of those capabilities." Torres gripped his rifle tighter. They had come to disable a ship. Now they had to save their species. Just another day at the office for Navy SEALs. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper stood in the captured Zarkax frigate's command center, her hand hovering over the neural interface panel. The ship, recently christened Ghost Wolf, hummed with an almost living energy. 3 weeks of reverse engineering had taught them more about alien technology than decades of theoretical research, but what they were about to attempt was still more gut instinct than science. "The Neuralink is stable," Dr. Mitchell's voice came through her earpiece. "Remember, their systems are designed for their cognitive architecture. Your brain will try to reject the connection at first." "Copy that," Cooper replied, taking a deep breath. "Beginning interface in 3, 2. She pressed her palm against the crystal panel. The world exploded into light and data. It felt like diving into an ocean of lightning, every nerve ending screaming, as her mind struggled to process the alien operating system. Then, just as Dr. Mitchell had predicted, everything clicked into place. The ship was alive around her. Not truly conscious, but something close. A symphony of systems and sensors that responded to her thoughts like extensions of her own body. This was how the Empire controlled their vessels. This was what they wanted to transform humans to use. "Interface successful," she managed, her voice strained. "Beginning system diagnostic." The team she'd assembled watched from their stations around the command center. Each one had been hand-picked from special operations units around the globe. Major Viktor Petrov from Russian Spetsnaz, his expertise in alien propulsion systems already proving invaluable. Captain Yuki Tanaka, former Japanese Special Forces Group, their best hacker and systems specialist. Lieutenant James Wilson, SAS combat engineer, who'd already modified half the ship's internal systems for human use. "Power distribution is holding steady," Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing over the modified control interface. "Cloak generator is at 93% efficiency." Cooper felt the ship's systems through the neural link. The Zarkax had built their technology to be an extension of their biology, a fatal mistake when facing a species as adaptable as humans. What they saw as a perfect integration, Earth's best minds had seen as a vulnerability. "Movement in the outer system," Petrov called out. "Long-range sensors are tracking 3 Empire warships near Jupiter's orbit. They're still searching for us." The Ghost Wolf had been their greatest prize, a fully functional frigate captured during the chaos of the initial invasion. While the Empire focused on Earth's major military installations, a combined team of Delta Force and Navy SEALs had seized the ship during an emergency landing. Now it was humanity's secret weapon. "Dr. Mitchell," Cooper called through the comm, "how's the translation matrix coming?" "Nearly complete. We've decoded about 80% of their tactical database. You're not going to believe what we found. They have detailed files on every major military engagement in human history. They've been studying us for centuries." Wilson looked up from his station. "So that's how they knew where to hit us first. They had our entire military playbook." "Not all of it," Cooper replied, a grim smile forming. They studied our conventional forces, our standard tactics, but special operations. Those missions stay dark for a reason. A warning signal flashed through the neural interface. Cooper's enhanced reflexes, honed by years of Delta Force training, responded before her conscious mind could process the threat. The Ghost Wolf's systems reacted instantly to her commands, emergency protocols engaging. Multiple signatures, Tanaka called out. They found us. No, Cooper corrected, the ship's sensors feeding directly into her mind. They found where we were. Initiating Ghost Protocol. The ship's experimental cloak, modified by Wilson's team, engage. Unlike the Empire's standard cloaking technology, this version incorporated human stealth principles, radio silence, heat masking, and a new quantum signature randomizer that Dr. Mitchell had developed. All stations, battle stations, Cooper commanded. This is what we've been training for. The Empire thinks they know everything about human warriors. Time to show them how wrong they are. The Ghost Wolf slipped between the stars like its namesake, carrying Earth's best into the heart of enemy territory. The Empire had made a critical error in their assessment of humanity. They'd studied our wars, analyzed our weapons, and calculated our technological capabilities. But they'd never understood what made Earth's warriors truly dangerous. The ability to adapt, to take an enemy's strength, and turn it against them. The hunt was about to begin. The Zarkak's command hub loomed before them, a massive structure carved into the heart of a captured asteroid. Through the Ghost Wolf's enhanced sensors, Lieutenant Cooper could feel every defense system, every patrol pattern. The neural interface fed data directly into her mind, turning the complex enemy installation into a three-dimensional chessboard. Multiple patrol ships on standard routes, Tanaka reported, her voice barely above a whisper despite the ship's secure communications. Old habits die hard. Their scan patterns leave a 3-second gap every rotation. Cooper processed the information through the neural link. The Empire's overconfidence was their greatest weakness. They relied too heavily on technology, never imagining anyone could turn it against them. Wilson, status on the breach package. The former SAS operator checked his modified alien equipment. Ready. Once we're inside, we'll have 7 minutes before their systems detect the power fluctuation. Then we'll do it in 6. Cooper responded. She turned to Major Petrov, who was already checking his team's quantum phase armor. The experimental suits, reverse-engineered from captured Zarkak's technology, would allow them to phase through certain types of matter, if they timed it perfectly. The Ghost Wolf slipped through the patrol screen like a shadow through smoke. Cooper guided the ship using pure instinct now, the neural interface translating her combat experience into split-second decisions. They found their entry point, a maintenance dock usually reserved for automated repair drones. Breach team, ready, Petrov announced. His 4 operators, 2 Russian Spetsnaz and 2 British SBS, moved like liquid mercury in their phase suits. Cooper initiated the Ghost Protocol. The ship's modified cloaking field extended to create a corridor of bent light and shifted reality. To any observer, the maintenance dock remained empty. To the team, it was their highway in. They moved through the station's outer hull like ghosts, the phase suits allowing them to pass through solid matter at precisely calculated points. Cooper felt each transition like ice down her spine. The sensation of existing between states of matter was something no amount of training could fully prepare you for. The first sign that something was wrong came when they reached the central research level. The security was too light. The corridors too empty. "I don't like this," Wilson muttered, his sensor package scanning for life signs. A command hub this size should have more personnel. They found their answer behind the 3rd security door. The chamber was vast, filled with rows of stasis pods similar to those found on the Dreadnought. But these were different. These were occupied. "Dear God," Tanaka breathed. checking the pod readings. They're human, special forces operators from around the world. Some of these units were reported as KIA months before the invasion. Cooper approached one of the pods, her heart freezing, as she recognized the face inside. Captain Marcus Chen, Navy SEALs. He was my instructor at Advanced Combat School. His unit disappeared during a training exercise last year. The neural interface suddenly flooded her mind with data as she connected to the facility's network. The truth was worse than they'd imagined. This wasn't just a command hub. It was a research facility. The Empire had been abducting Earth's best warriors for years, studying them, testing them, trying to understand what made human special forces so effective. They're not just studying us, Cooper realized, reading through the alien data streams. They're trying to break us. Each pod is running combat simulations, pushing the subjects through endless battle scenarios. They're looking for our breaking point. A new alert flashed through the neural link. Movement in the upper levels. Heavy movement. Multiple contacts, Wilson warned. Big ones. Different from anything we've seen before. The chamber's main doors began to cycle open. Through them stepped something that made Cooper's blood run cold. Human forms in Zarkak's combat suits, but wrong, changed. The Empire's first successful attempts at creating their new shock troops. Well, Petrov said, his quantum rifle humming to life. Looks like we found the welcome committee. Cooper's mind raced through their options, through the neural link. They had 6 modified humans moving to surround them. Each one a former Special Forces operator turned into something else. Behind them, pods full of their captured comrades. Above them, a station full of enemies. The mission had just changed. This wasn't just about gathering intelligence anymore. This was a rescue operation. And if there was one thing human special forces never did, it was leave their people behind. Ghost Team, Cooper commanded, her quantum blade igniting with a snap hiss of displaced air. Let's show these traitors why the original is always better than the copy. The Zarkak's high command vessel shuddered as another explosion rocked its port side. Through the neural interface, Captain Jake Torres watched the massive ship's defense grid try to track his team's movements. The Empire's advanced AI systems were learning, adapting, but not fast enough. Multiple breaches on decks 7 through 12. A panicked alien voice echoed through their intercepted communications. They're everywhere and nowhere. How are they doing this? Torres allowed himself a grim smile as he led his team through the ship's crystalline corridors. Dr. Mitchell's latest breakthrough had given them an edge the Empire never saw coming. The ability to hijack their own biomechanical combat suits mid-battle. Status report. He vocalized through the neural link. 5 acknowledgement signals pulsed back. His team had split into 3 groups, each one striking critical systems simultaneously. The Empire's commanders were learning a harsh lesson about human special forces. They never attack where you expect them. Engine core is primed, Chief Peterson reported. Ready to overload on your mark. Command center access achieved. Lieutenant Rodriguez added, "You should see their faces, Cap." They really thought their neural security was unbreakable. Torres reached his own objective, the ship's main data core. The Empire had centuries of combat data stored here. Their careful analysis of human warfare. Time to show them how much they'd missed. Execute Ghost Protocol Sierra, he ordered. Show them what they're really dealing with. Throughout the massive vessel, human operators activated Dr. Mitchell's latest weapon. The neural interface systems that the Empire relied on became their greatest vulnerability. Every biomechanical combat suit, every automated defense system, every piece of connected technology suddenly received new programming. The ship's internal cameras captured it all, broadcasting directly to the Empire's high command. They watched in horror as their elite guards' own combat suits turned against them, as defense turrets targeted their own positions, as human special forces moved through their most secure areas like water through cracks. Impossible, the ship's commander breathed, watching the chaos unfold on his displays. Your species, you were supposed to be primitive, physical inferiors. Torres stepped into the command center, his team's quantum weapons trained on the alien leadership. That was your first mistake. You studied our bodies, our weapons, our conventional tactics, but you never understood what makes us dangerous. Through the neural link, he could feel Cooper's team executing similar operations throughout the fleet. The Empire's entire command structure was being systematically dismantled by small teams of human operators. Your second mistake. Torres continued, approaching the commander. Thinking technology alone wins wars. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. Every time someone invents a perfect defense, we find a way through it. Every time someone creates an unbeatable weapon, we adapt and overcome. The ship's systems were now fully under human control. Dr. Mitchell's voice came through the neural link. Data core downloaded. We've got everything. Their tactical databases, their research, their entire military strategy. But your fatal mistake, Torres said, standing before the alien commander, was thinking you could turn us into your weapons. We're not just warriors. We're innovation made flesh. Adaptation given form. You wanted to force us to evolve. We've been doing that on our own, since we first picked up a stone as a weapon. The commander's multifaceted eyes widened as understanding finally dawned. The modifications we made to the captured humans gave us everything we needed to understand your technology. Torres finished. Every test you ran, every enhancement you made, every piece of data you collected, it all helped us figure out how to beat you. Throughout the fleet, similar scenes were playing out. The Empire's leadership was learning the hard way why Earth's special forces were now being called the galaxy's apex predators. Their arrogance had led them to create the perfect weapons, but those weapons were now turned against them. Signal the fleet, the commander finally said, his voice heavy with defeat. Tell them we severely underestimated these humans. Torres activated the ship-wide communications. This is just the beginning. You wanted to see humanity's true potential. Watch closely. The real hunt is about to start. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper stood at the helm of the Ghost Wolf, watching through the neural interface as 3 Zarkak supply convoys passed below their position. The ship's enhanced cloaking field, now perfected through weeks of combat experience, rendered them completely invisible to the Empire's most advanced sensors. They're still using the same routes, Major Petrov observed from his station. Even after everything we've done, they can't break from their doctrine. That's because they don't understand what we're doing, Cooper replied, her mind processing multiple tactical overlays through the interface. They're looking for patterns, trying to predict where we'll strike next. They don't realize we're using their own analysis against them. The past month had been a masterclass in human guerrilla warfare. Ghost Squadron had struck 27 critical targets across 7 star systems, each attack carefully designed to look like it came from a different source. The Empire's military command was chasing shadows, unable to accept that a single ship could cause so much havoc. Message from Captain Torres, Tanaka announced from the communication station. Operation Shadow Strike was successful. The Empire's military academy is in chaos. They found the data packages we planted. Cooper allowed herself a small smile. While her team had been hitting supply lines and command centers, Torres had led a bold mission to infiltrate the heart of the Empire's training system. The data they planted, carefully selected footage of human special forces in action, was designed to shatter the Empire's confidence in their own training methods. "Show me the latest intelligence," Cooper commanded. The neural interface responded instantly, filling her mind with real-time data from their network of captured sensor buoys. The Empire's response to their campaign had been predictable. They'd fortified their major military installations, increased patrols along main shipping routes, and positioned their fleet to protect strategic assets. In doing so, they'd fallen right into the trap. "They're still looking for a fleet," Wilson said, looking up from his engineering station. "All their deployments are designed to counter large-scale attacks. They can't comprehend fighting the way we do." Cooper watched through the ship's sensors as the supply convoys moved into position. The Ghost Wolf's modified weapons were ready, each one calibrated to exploit specific weaknesses in the Empire's defenses. But today's mission wasn't about destruction. "Initiate Operation Whisper," she ordered. "Let's show them the true meaning of psychological warfare." Throughout the convoy, carefully designed technical glitches began to appear. Navigation systems showed phantom contacts. Communication arrays picked up fragments of impossible transmissions. Security cameras caught glimpses of shadows that shouldn't exist. "Fear," Petrov said, nodding appreciatively. "The greatest weapon in guerrilla warfare." The Empire's response was immediate and exactly what they planned for. Ships broke formation, emergency signals were sent, and the carefully ordered supply line dissolved into chaos. "Message from Dr. Mitchell," Tanaka reported. "The neural analysis is complete. Every time they react like this, their command and control network leaves traces we can track. She's mapping their entire communication structure." Cooper processed the information through the interface. The Empire had built their military on the assumption that superior technology and physical strength would always prevail. They'd never faced an enemy that could turn their own systems against them, that could strike without warning and vanish without trace. "New contact," Wilson called out. "Large signature coming out of FTL. It's the Nemesis." The massive form of the Empire's flagship emerged from hyperspace, its crystalline surface gleaming with power. Admiral Vexthor, the Empire's most decorated commander, had finally joined the hunt. "Right on schedule," Cooper said, her voice calm despite the tension. "Send the signal to Captain Torres. Tell him Phase 2 is ready to begin." The Ghost Wolf slipped away from the scene, leaving behind a supply fleet in disarray and an enemy commander about to learn why humans had perfected the art of invisible war. The Empire had committed their greatest forces to finding them, never realizing that was exactly what Ghost Squadron wanted. "They're looking for ghosts," Cooper said to her crew. "Let's show them why that's a battle they can never win." Dr. Amanda Mitchell's hands flew over the holographic display, her mind racing as she processed the latest data from Ghost Squadron's raids. The Empire's genetic templates were displayed before her, their complex structure finally revealing a truth that changed everything. "Lieutenant Cooper," she called through the quantum link, "are you seeing this? Their entire species, they've engineered themselves into a corner." Cooper's neural interface connected directly to the research station systems, allowing her to see exactly what Mitchell had discovered. The Empire's obsession with genetic perfection had led them down a path that limited their ability to adapt. "They've removed their own capacity for random mutation," Mitchell continued, highlighting specific sequences. "In their quest for the perfect warrior form, they eliminated their ability to evolve naturally. Every generation is identical, strong, fast, intelligent, and completely inflexible." Captain Torres's voice joined the conversation through the secure channel. "That's why they want human soldiers. We're everything they're not. Adaptable, unpredictable, capable of learning, and changing mid-battle." The Ghost Wolf hung silent in space near the research station, its advanced cloak making it invisible even to the Empire's latest detection systems. Cooper's team had been analyzing the facility for weeks, planning something that the Empire would consider impossible. "The Temple of Warriors," Cooper said, her voice thoughtful. "That's why it's so important to them. It's not just a symbol. It's their genetic repository. Every template, every enhancement, every modification they've ever made to their species. All stored in one place, Mitchell finished. A monument to their perceived perfection and their greatest vulnerability. Torres's team had already infiltrated 3 impossible targets across the Empire's territory. Each success had built the legend of the human special forces, creating a psychological weapon more powerful than any conventional arms. "Show me the temple's defenses," Cooper commanded. The neural interface responded, filling her mind with detailed scans and analysis. The Temple of Warriors stood on the Empire's throne world, a crystal and metal spire that reached into the upper atmosphere. Its defenses were layered and redundant. Energy shields, automated weapon systems, elite guard units, and security measures that the Empire considered unbreakable. "They're so focused on preventing a frontal assault," Cooper observed. "They've never considered someone might attack it differently." "Dr. Mitchell, how long would it take to modify our phase suits with the new data?" 6 hours, Mitchell replied. "But Cooper, what you're suggesting, it's never been done at that scale." The lieutenant's plan was audacious. Using the Empire's own genetic research against them, they would attempt something that should be physically impossible: phasing an entire strike team through the temple's quantum-locked barriers. "Assemble the team," Cooper ordered. "Everyone who's completed the advanced neural training. We're going to show the Empire why humans are now the most feared warriors in known space." Operation Mythmaker came together in 12 hours. 20 operators from 6 different Special Forces units, each one connected through modified neural interfaces. The Ghost Wolf would insert them using a combination of human stealth tactics and reversed engineered alien technology. "Remember," Cooper briefed her team, "the Empire thinks they know everything about human combat capabilities. They've studied our wars, analyzed our tactics, measured our physical limits. But they've never understood our greatest strength. We don't accept limits," Torres added. "We break them." The operation would begin at dawn, local time, on the throne world. 1 ship against the heart of an empire. 20 operators against what the Zarkax considered their most sacred and secure location. "This isn't just about military victory," Cooper told her team. "This is about showing them why their whole philosophy is flawed. They sought perfection through control and standardization. We'll show them the power of chaos and adaptation." The Ghost Wolf's engines hummed to life, its systems synchronized with the neural networks of every operator on board. They were about to attempt something that would either end the war or end them. "Ghost Squadron," Cooper commanded, "prepare for insertion. It's time to write a legend." Dawn broke over the Empire's throne world, its triple suns casting multiple shadows across the crystalline spires of the Temple of Warriors. Inside the sacred structure, 12,000 elite guards maintained their eternal vigil, their genetic templates honed through centuries of selective engineering. None of them noticed the slight ripple in reality as Ghost Squadron phased through the quantum-locked barriers. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper led the first team through, her neural interface processing the complex security grid that surrounded them. Captain Torres followed with the second team, their modified phase suits operating at the bleeding edge of theoretical physics. "Primary insertion complete," Cooper vocalized through the neural link. "No alerts. Dr. Mitchell, your calculations were perfect." "Don't celebrate yet," Mitchell's voice came through, tense but controlled. "You've got 11 minutes before the quantum variance becomes detectable. Make them count." The temple's interior was a monument to the Empire's philosophy, every surface engineered to perfection, every angle calculated to mathematical precision. It was beautiful, sterile, and completely predictable, just like its defenders. "Control center located," Torres reported. "Third level of the inner sanctum. High Council is in session." Cooper's team moved like shadows through the temple's protected data core, their movements guided by centuries of human special operations experience. Each operator had been chosen for their specific skills. skills that the Empire had dismissed as inferior to their engineered perfection. "Uploading the package now," Major Petrov announced, his hands dancing over a crystal terminal. The package was a masterpiece of human innovation. A virus that would use the Empire's own neural network to broadcast their greatest weakness to every corner of their domain. The first sign that something was wrong came not from the human operators, but from the Empire's own guards. Their neural implants began receiving data they were never meant to see. Evidence of their own genetic stagnation. Proof of their vulnerability to human adaptation. "My lord." A guard burst into the High Council chamber, breaking centuries of protocol. "The genetic archives. They're being accessed. The data. It's everywhere." The council chamber erupted in chaos just as Cooper's team phased through its ancient walls. 20 human operators, armed with both advanced technology and primitive combat skills that the Empire had never bothered to master. "Honorable Council," Cooper announced, her voice carrying the weight of human history. "Let's talk about evolution." The elite guards raised their weapons, but found themselves hesitating. Their neural implants were flooding them with combat data, centuries of human warfare, showing how every perfect defense had eventually failed, how every invincible army had been defeated by adaptable, innovative opponents. "You built your empire on the belief that genetic perfection was the key to military dominance," Torres added, his team securing the chamber's strategic points. "You created warriors who were stronger, faster, and more uniform than any others. And that was your fatal mistake." Dr. Mitchell's voice came through the neural network, broadcasting to every implanted warrior in the temple. "You removed the very thing that makes life resilient. The ability to change, to adapt, to become something new. While you were creating perfect soldiers, we were learning, evolving, finding new ways to fight." The High Council watched in stunned silence as their own security systems turned against them, as their perfect warriors stood down, as their most sacred temple was compromised by methods they had deemed impossible. "This is not a surrender demand," Cooper declared. "This is a wake-up call. You wanted to transform humans into your perfect warriors. Look around. We're already the superior force. Not because we're stronger or faster, but because we never stop changing, never stop learning, never accept any limitation as permanent." The ghost wolf decloaked above the temple, its human-modified systems broadcasting a signal that every ship in the Empire would receive. The age of engineered perfection is over. The era of endless adaptation has begun. In the days that followed, Dr. Mitchell's report would become required reading throughout human space. The Empire sought to create the perfect warrior, and in doing so, they created their own obsolescence. They never understood that true military superiority doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being able to change. They called themselves the master race. We taught them they were just another step in evolution's grand dance, and the music never stops playing.